Albion Mag Radio Show.
Well, a very good morning. Saturday, 11 o'clock, live in the studio. Dean Kilford bringing you the Albion Mag Radio Show. Yes, Leon Cox is sadly not with us this morning. He's still sunning himself on the Greek Isles somewhere, getting a fabulous tan. Well, maybe not knowing Leon, but fear not, because I am joined in the studio by someone whose voice you may be familiar to on the airways if you're of a certain age, someone who writes avidly about the Albion, columnist, fan, one of the founders of saving the club 20-odd years ago, the one and only Ian Hart joins me in the studio. A very good morning, Ian. How are you doing?
Good morning, Dean. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, a pleasure, as always, whenever you can.
Once I manage to park the car, come on, Hove Council, do something about that. It's awful.
Well, great way to start the show. Right, so we've got loads to talk about today. If you want to get in touch with anything we say, hopefully nothing too controversial today, Ian. No. Tweet us at TAM Radio Show. We've got our thread on North Stand Chat. We've also got the shout box in the studio, and of course at home, multitasking, but also looking after his little one. Tom will be on hand to answer anything as well via social media. We're going to start. You've got a question.
Can I ask Tom a question then?
You can ask Tom a question.
As a 1901 East member, am I allowed to wear shorts in the 1901 lounge? Me and my mate Motty are going to enjoy the last bit of summer this afternoon, and we're looking to go over on the Love bus, leaving the Cricketers pub at 1:15. But we need to know whether we'll be allowed in. So if anyone's out there that knows what the dress code is, I know you have to wear a collar on your shirt, you can't wear colours, but can you wear shorts?
There we are. That's the first question of the day we're putting out there.
First world problems.
Absolutely. We've got our Twitter poll up. There's about another 15 minutes or so left to run on that. We'll get to the results of that later. But the question is, following on from our defeat to Southampton in the League Cup, it's left you feeling A, happy, second Ray Cup anyway, 2, or B, sad, the second 11 were poor, 3, angry, all competitions matter, or 4, relieved, no one got injured. Of course, you've got about another 4 minutes left to get your votes, so get them in quickly, and we'll read the results later in the show. But we're going to start, as always, we've got to go back to Anfield not quite this time last week, but 7 days ago. A performance that has, again, sort of divided opinion amongst Albion fans. A lot of fans of my era that I speak to that were at the game quite happy with the performance and result. There are some fans that aren't happy with the way we went into the game, being so negative for the first half, which, you know, if you look at the game as a concept, we sort of weathered a storm for 45 minutes and then started to play. Where do you feel on that? Where do you sit?
Well, it's one of 6 games of the top 6 that we have to write off. Anything we get
you strongly feel that way, yeah?
I do. Those away games, in time, as we evolve as a Premiership club, which I believe we will, maybe we will get things, you know, we did in the first division days. I think we won at Anfield, we won at White Hart Lane. So those are 18 points that I've written off at the start of the season.
Okay.
Last season, I wrote off the 18 points at home. I just said, you know, that, but I looked upon as the 18 points at home against the top 6 as a free hit. As it turned out, we did very well. Should have beaten Spurs. Yep. Beat Arsenal. Beat Manchester United. So
7 points from those 18.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
And already 3 this.
So coming in on the euphoria of the Manchester United game, and I put this in my newspaper column that I'd written it off. So it was more the nature of the performance, and it was, excuse the cliche, a game of 2 halves.
It was.
I was at a wedding last week, the nuptials of Davo, who's a big Albion fan, and Terry, who's a big Liverpool fan. So it was a bit of a
Did they have it on?
No, well, no. That's a bit question. I
don't know.
That's what the honeymoon's for. Oh no, I thought you said something else. No, we didn't have it on because we were in a field enjoying, you know, in a lovely marquee. It may have been on some people's phones. It may not have been on some people's phones. That is the...
who knows?
That is where we are. But the main thing is, when I got home, I watched Match of the Day, and I was pleased with the nature of the performance. My mother-in-law, who is not really a football fan, but watches it down the pub now because it's a big thing, She said Brighton played very well. Well, if it's good enough for Doreen Giles, it's good enough for me. No, so it was the mode of performance. I will be more...
would you have been more disappointed if we'd have gone gung-ho and shipped?
and got absolutely smashed, because then all the good that was done at the Manchester United game, all right, so we've lost the game, but we've come out of there, fairly positive. And we go into this afternoon's game, which is not a gimme, which is not a free hit.
No, we'll get on to that
I see
one.
Fulham, and we'll go back to Southampton shortly, but I see Fulham as one of those comparable sides. I think they're going to be at the top of the bottom 8, as we are, come May. They play some attractive football. They've got an owner with even deeper pockets than Tony Bloom.
They have. They've spent a lot of money. So, but we go into this afternoon's game not on the back of a hiding. Tuesday night is really irrelevant as far as we'll get on to Tuesday night because that's
but we're going into this afternoon's game not on a hiding, with some really good positive feedback when we came back down from there, and a lot of people saying that we should have got a draw. So
there was obviously 2 chances. They seemed to focus on Gross's header in the last minute or so as being, but I thought actually Knockhart's opportunity at the start of the second half was probably because I don't know. He seems to have this. He wants to prove. I think he still has this thing. He wants to prove it at this level, and that tied in with him rushing that shot and getting it all wrong. Whereas that calm, composed Knockhart that we've seen on occasion in the Premier League, and I do mean only on occasion, not that I'm knocking him, but very much in the Championship where he would have taken his time and picked his spot or laid it off.
But is that the difference between the Championship and the Premiership? Maybe in a Championship game the Albion get 4, 5, 6 chances, clear-cut chances. In the Premiership, we get 1 or 2.
Well, I tell you, to get 2 up at Anfield is
but we have to take them, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
But just a couple of other things about the Liverpool game. Balogun obviously played the full 90 minutes, and I think, as I mentioned after when he stepped in the Man United game, he looks solid. The greatest compliment I could give to him is that it didn't look like we missed Dunk with him in the team.
No.
And I think that was probably the same at Anfield. I spoke to people that were at the game, and they had nothing but praise for him. And he seemed to marshal. The person that looked a little bit shaky, should I say, at the back 4 was Duffy of the 4, in terms of being slightly out of position for various opportunities. Obviously, they didn't take them, but it's just maybe that partnership just needs to form a little bit, and Duffy's feeling a bit of pressure by trying to compensate, or do you know what I mean? Feeling like he's the senior member of that partnership in the middle.
He's a lovely lad, Duffy. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I sometimes think some of the antics that he gets up to off of the field probably impact what he does on the field. We are in the Premier League. We have moved up levels that we could never have dreamed of, and I do think he really has to up his game.
Is that a case? So do you think then when and if, because there's reports that Dunk's going to be fit after the international break. There's reports that it might even stretch to as far as Christmas. Yeah. But do you think he might be the fall guy?
You don't know.
I'm just putting a question out there.
You've got this rotation thing, but Balogun is an international footballer. We've paid decent money for him.
Potentially,
it's no one plays for the Albion forever. There is no one has a divine right to that shirt. There is, it's like every football club in the country, in the world. Duffy has got to play for the shirt, and if out of the 3 of them, he's the one that's found wanting, or he is the one that is out of form, Houghton is a very astute manager, very cute manager. He will do what's right for Brighton and Hove Albion. There's no sentiment.
Last point on the Liverpool game. Gross dropped to the bench for Bissouma, who came in for his first start. Obviously, Bissouma made the mistake. Got caught out for the goal. That happens. But I thought otherwise he again looked promising.
That is a learning curve. The people that I spoke to that went to Watford, I didn't go to Watford. I have family commitments, but the people that I spoke to went to Watford said it was awful. It was like the team had met there in the car park, and he'd basically given out shirts and say, you play here, you play there. But Bissouma was the one
when he came
positive, the one shining light. He was the one positive from Tuesday, but we'll come on to that.
Yep.
I thought he had an excellent game. It is a learning curve. You know, he's come in to play in the greatest league in the world, possibly the most competitive league in the world, because it's not a one-horse race, hopefully not. So, you know, and every game is a big game, so it is a learning curve. I hope he gets a chance this afternoon.
Well, yeah, I mean, potential. But what would you say about... Obviously, Gross came in because Gross. Would you would think of?
But that's the rotation. That's the rotation. You know,
of all the players to have not. I mean, he hasn't started the season particularly well, Gross. But compare, you know, look at him last season. You wouldn't. That's so. What I'm echoing what you said about Houghton is that you don't play on sentiment.
We only watch 90 minutes, don't we?
Yeah, he watches.
We don't. He watches training. He watches players' body language. He knows what's going on. Probably not too much in their personal lives, but you know, it's. You know, he's the ultimate boss. In Chris we trust.
There we are.
He's saying Gus we trust, but look where that ended.
Well, don't speak to the Bordeaux fans about Gus.
No. Or the AEK fans.
Well, no, Bordeaux was recently. He
he went on a radio show and was controversial. Can't believe that.
Well, he ran to this press conference about them selling a player behind his back.
Was it a TV? No, it was a TV.
It was his TV
show,
press conference. Yeah.
Crazy.
Anyway, so Gus is out of employment. If anyone's listening and wants to employ,
do you think he'll get another job?
He seems to always get another job. So yes.
Yeah, but there has to come a time where they won't get another job. Because they've been in the last chance saloon for so long.
But looking at all of the different...
Pardew's going to struggle to get another job.
Pardew, but I think with Poyet, I think
Allardyce may not get another job.
I don't know with Allardyce. Allardyce has built up this persona as the man that will come in to save you if you're struggling at the end of the season.
Good luck, Manchester United.
Right, so we move from Saturday to Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right, so we'd been talking on this show. I'm sure you've been listening every week, Ian.
Yeah.
But we're talking about the importance of
religiously.
We talk about that potentially now having a squad that is strong enough to compete on maybe more than one front of stay in the league. I thought we'd have a go. I thought we'd have a go in this competition, and I guess two teams made 10 changes.
Fleetwood made 11 changes when they played Leicester City.
Well, yeah.
Which, I mean, it's totally...
I just don't...
kibosh. I don't know. The whole
Did you go... Were you there on Tuesday?
Yeah, because it's, part of the 1901 and... we've had a great cricket season and I wanted to get back to football and was looking forward to it. Took young Joel, the Australian overseas from Broadwater Cricket Club, and but I'd been to the Portsmouth AFC Wimbledon game a couple of weeks before because John Keeley, the Albion legendary goalkeeper, he is number one in my Albion team. He's currently walking out with my sister-in-law, so went down to see John and saw Portsmouth against AFC Wimbledon in the first round of this trophy. They only had 1.5 stands open at Portsmouth.
Wow.
I'm not decrying them because they've been through the mire as we did and they could have gone to the wall. But it actually made me appreciate the football I now watch at the Amex because it wasn't very good.
Right.
Pompey made a lot of changes. I think AFC Wimbledon made a lot of changes. And Joel and I exited Fratton Park at 65 minutes.
Wow.
Now, I haven't done that I don't think I've ever done that in a football game.
So was that...
It was just... I just, it was no disrespect to Kilo, and I thanked him for the tickets afterwards, but he said, I said I just wasn't enjoying it. Maybe because I wasn't supporting one of the teams, but the football on offer... I'm a football fan.
Well,
saying
if you watch football,
so is you. So
you can enjoy. So
if you're watching
football,
a game of the World Cup and it's a great game, was the Argentina-France game during the summer, a great game of football, and you're mesmerised. I was severely underwhelmed, and I just thought that that even the loyal fans of Pompey, in inverted commas, pardon me, are turning off in their droves, and I think they've just got to rejuvenate it somehow.
Well, you wrote a column mentioning that because I've mentioned before about the need for the League Cup to potentially undergo some serious changes. But I'd let you elaborate on the piece that you wrote, because you mentioned that is it time for teams to opt out of playing in the League Cup?
Given the option to opt out.
Yeah.
I think if you're playing in Europe, I don't think you should play in it. And I'm sure that the European clubs... And then if there's European qualification at the end, that would open up a European place for a team that aren't currently in Europe.
Yeah.
I think the Premiership clubs that are in it should all play away from home. It should be seeded. I think it should be regionalised right up until the third, fourth round. So you haven't got fans having to make wild journeys and stuff like that in midweek. I wrote that column at 5 o'clock on Wednesday morning, as I always do. After an Albion game that, frankly, apart from one or two positives, was really a case of there's 90 minutes of my life I'll never get back. I was actually quite relieved Charlie Austin scored, because I thought penalties, this could go on for hours. So, and then you have trouble getting out the car park as well. But I don't know.
Was there any positives to take from that game?
Yeah, well, the lad playing in midfield, number 8, wearing Peter Ward's shirt with a haircut like that. It is a difficult one. I would have liked to have gone for it, but on the flip side, we are in a competition, the most important competition, which is the bottom 8 of the Premiership, and we have to finish in the top 5 of the bottom 8. We've got to do that for a couple of years until we get ourselves ensconced. All right, we did very well last year.
So you think it's a case of a couple of years until
I think
this club
but that is a competition that I would like to see us target, people just don't want to do it, do they? When I was driving over and I heard even Joey Barton had made 11 changes, that basically tells you that even Fleetwood don't want to do it.
But I think every team made minimum 6-7 changes to their...
Do you make a rule then? You can only make 4 changes.
I don't think you can...
But you can't do that. Where do we go? Is it another fixture? Clearly we've got 25,000 season ticket holders and a 4,000 waiting list, and we can't get 14,000.
No, that's what I mean. So crowd-wise, you mentioned about Portsmouth not being able to fill, but the Amex looked decidedly empty on Tuesday.
Yeah, no, it was not as empty as Fratton Park.
No, I'm just saying.
And they've got probably, for the size of their ground, that they've got a pro rata the same amount of season ticket holders as we have, probably more. I don't know. It's just, is it another game? But then.
So, what I'd thrown around some ideas before. I thought, but what if you put the competition into a 2-week or 3-week spell? So it becomes at the start of the season. It's an August competition.
Yeah.
And
like the Anglo-Scottish Cup, for older listeners.
Something, or it's put alongside that. It's in its own little tournament, and it's gone done, and it happens in that spell.
Don't Scotland have their League Cup final in November?
Well, they've really, they're in the fifth round already.
I think they do it. Yeah, I think if we still have a league programme, but do the League Cup as it was supposed to be brought out when it came out in 60-61, which was a midweek floodlit tournament because people were all getting floodlights then. Yeah, I think that's a very good shout, and maybe that'll rejuvenate it.
Yeah.
Someone was saying to me on.
As soon as you start opting out, though, I think then you've lost the competition, because that's why the FA Cup was devalued. The year they allowed Man United to opt out, that killed the FA Cup for me, and that's one of my favourite. I still have fond memories of that competition. Still want it to be.
You see, I don't know, and I'm just sort of going a little bit off kilter now. I heard on the radio yesterday that UEFA are going to have a third.
I'm going to mention that's part of the
European
European
competition. Now, if that's the Cup Winners' Cup coming back, brilliant. Have all the domestic cup winners.
It's not going to be
in
that.
A knockout cup, so it's not going to be that.
No.
Well, why are we doing it then?
It's
absolutely ludicrous.
I was reading the reports that it's essentially so that lower European nations can be in a European competition
and have a TV deal
and make money
on Dave or something, because that's where you'll end up having it, and you'll be asking Chesterfield to travel to Duke of Prague, will you, or something like that. It's just ludicrous.
It's
absolute. I thought when I heard it, well, this is great. Are we going to get the Cup Winners' Cup back?
No.
And then that will actually rejuvenate the FA Cup.
The Cup Winners' Cup
the Cup Winners' Cup was the second trophy. You know, when people, I remember, well, Everton won it, Chelsea won it, Spurs won it. Spurs were the first people to win it, weren't they?
63.
Yeah, Rangers won it. Manchester City won it. It was Arsenal won it. It was a huge cup. It was a big trophy.
Well, and if that was the case, now if it was Cup Winners' Cup, you would literally only have one representative from each country, because unlike the Champions League where you've got 4 or 5 from a country,
but it's not a Champions League
no,
anymore, is it? It's
European League.
I'd like to see a Champions Cup.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, but it would be nice.
No, yeah, but it should happen. That that's the problem. Any news on Miss Schultz?
So. No news on the shorts just yet, but I can reveal the results of our poll. So we've sort of veered away, but we'll come back to so the defeat last night to Southampton in the League Cup has left you. 8% of you were angry about it because all competitions matter, so that's no surprise there. 23% are happy because it's a second-rate cup. 24% are sad because the second 11 weren't as good as Southampton's second 11, and a massive 45% of you were relieved because we didn't get an injury.
No, which is good. Well, which is good, but. Again, and I know I said about opting out, and that wasn't a knee-jerk reaction because the competition has become a little bit of a joke now.
Yeah.
But then, is it a second-rate competition? Speak to the Burnley fans who've had, albeit that it's finished now, but they've had a European adventure. Where have they been? Istanbul, Greece, and...
Yeah. I've been to 4. They've had 4 rounds ago, is it?
No, Aberdeen.
Aberdeen, yeah.
Haven't they? So they've been to Greece, Istanbul and Aberdeen. So... All right, Aberdeen's probably not the your approved choice.
It's always nice to play a fellow British club, I guess.
So if you do target it and you get in the Europa League, but then on the flip side of that, some Burnley fans might say that their form was suffered.
Well, their league start is and
they got Manchester United tomorrow. Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday.
Sunday night. Yeah.
I forgot what
was
day
it Sunday or was it Monday? Is it Monday night?
No, it's Sunday.
It's Sunday
because they're playing Europa League football. So
that's going to be well. Anyway, we'll move on to that.
In essence, to your question, in answer to your question, it needs to have something drastic, but it's clear. And one of the things I said in my column was that the winners get £100,000. Now, Arsenal, from every home game, make £1.25 million from ticket sales, programmes, food and drink.
Yeah.
And you're having a competition where you give someone $100,000. I mean, that...
But $100,000
Yeah, but that's like leaving the fairground with a with a goldfish in a balloon, isn't it, really? To these clubs, because it's a drop in the ocean, isn't it?
For a Premier League club that gets 114 million, whatever it is, to finish bottom of the Premier League. It's a joke. So it has become a joke competition, and it shouldn't be. But it's still a trophy at the end of the day when you look at the record books.
It's a trophy, but it's got European qualification. But
do you see what's happened? Because there was a spell in the mid 90s to mid 2000s where, or maybe not even quite that far, but when there was the Leicesters, the Boltons, the Middlesbroughs that would always
target it. But now, are we not now in the greatest knockout competition in the world? We're in a 38-game knockout competition where the worst 3 teams get knocked out.
Well, we'll leave that one as opposing thoughts. Listeners, you're very intriguing, all these things. Are we in the biggest? Are we obviously in the big? Are we in the biggest club competition? Is this the biggest knockout competition? Potentially 38 games.
Well, it is a knockout competition because you've got 38 games, and at the end, the bottom 3 get knocked out.
Very true. We're partnered, of course, by our friends at Jalapeno Records. This is Izzo Fitzroy, and You're Gone. You're Gone, featuring Izzo Fitzroy. It is the Albion Mag Radio Show on 1BTN, available online, DAB Digital and 101.4 FM. Dean Kilford, joined in the studio by the ever as controversial Ian Hart. Well, I don't think you've been too controversial.
No, that's a bit of a toe tap with that one, wasn't it? I don't think it's on the Duke box in the old Broadwater pub. But
if only we had a camera and you could have seen Ian showing his moves around the studio.
Yeah, moves.
Yeah, something like that, yes. So before we went to the song, we were talking about the European Nations League, or third European competition. Waste of time. It's a moneymaker, isn't it? Unless there is something where it is exclusive to teams that win a cup, and it involved every...
Do you not think, though, this is another case of us as supporters being more and more disenfranchised from the beautiful game? That they're bringing in another Mickey Mouse competition because it all comes down to what you say, making money.
It does. The other side, because I always like to present both opinions, is that maybe it is giving that opportunity to clubs from Lithuania, Slovenia, Slovakia, or wherever to play in a European competition where otherwise they normally get knocked out. Get knocked out at the European preliminary rounds or qualification rounds. So, the romanticist would go, you're actually giving them a competition to be able to play in.
So are we going to have a junior FA Cup then? So all the teams in the third and fourth division, what we do with the checker trade, and all right, when that gets to the final, it is, but that's still a competition that's... I think we played Cheltenham at the Withdean once in the checker trade, or JPF,
whatever it was at the
whatever
Johnson's,
it was called that week. And they brought 13 supporters with them.
Wow.
And there was no live TV.
Worthing definitely bring more than 13.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes. Who knows is the answer. I don't think they will. It's just presenting the other end of the opinion. But we're going to move on to the news of the week, the Albion-related news of the week. And this one came up on Tuesday, I believe it was, that Brighton and Hove Albion have been the first team in England to give out free sanitary products to female fans. So I think that's a very good move from the club. Yeah.
I mean, I can't really comment. I'm not female.
No.
I don't use sanitary
but
products.
I think,
but I've got a daughter and I've got a wife, and, so, I think it's good. I mean, how long will this go on for? What will this evolve to? We've still got a fairly young fan base. Will they be giving out free condoms, for safe sex? And, where will it end?
Well, if football will become an educational centre in that sense, it could happen. You never know.
Who knows? It's good. Yeah.
Yes.
Groundbreaking.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
It is groundbreaking in this country. I think Celtic are the first British team to do it. But no, I think it's a positive step, and applaud the club for that decision. And would like to know what if people got an opinion on that, positive, negative. I can't imagine there'd be any negative, but let us know.
Yeah, cool.
Moving on. So the Amex Stadium will be used as one of the grounds as part of the bid for England to host the European 2021 Women's European Championships.
Yeah.
There are eight cities across the UK, and I think ours is the standout ground outside of Wembley.
No, it is. It's a very good stadium. I went to the Rugby World Cup game, Japan versus South Africa, which became an iconic game in the history of rugby. That was a great event. So I think if we can use the stadium for other sporting events, including the ladies, because ladies football is getting more and more popular.
It's definitely growing.
It's huge. That's good. A positive step.
Well, the other thing about that announcement was the work with the Sussex FA.
Yeah,
which I thought was
Ken Benham is one of the unsung heroes of Sussex football. Ken does a wonderful job there. He's dragged the Sussex FA into the 21st century. Some may say he even dragged it into the 20th century when he went there, but Ken's done a superb job. He's got a superb team there. The facilities at Lancing are second to none. So no, it's great.
But is it great to see that partnership?
Yeah,
continue, because obviously with the women's team now moving, because obviously they've always had a close connection, but the women's team moving to Crawley this year, so there isn't that regular contact between Brighton and the Sussex FA in that sense. But this keeps that partnership alive because it's important for Sussex football. We'll obviously get onto non-league football later on, but it's important for for Brighton, for Sussex football to be, to grow and continue to grow and continue to build a fan base, because that feeds all the way up.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a good thing, and the FA and the local FA in particular are much maligned with all their rules and their fines, but we wouldn't have a game without them. The same for referees. So can we remember that as Park football starts in earnest?
It does.
This afternoon and tomorrow morning.
It does.
Without referees, you wouldn't have a game.
I'm sadly at the stage where I'm in a Veterans League now.
Well, that's good, because you're still playing. It's good.
Although I can't play because I'm up in Leeds this weekend, so I've got to wish. I'll give Goring Vets. You get a big shout out. Good luck tomorrow. Playing over Shipley, I think. But anyway, moving on. That's not that important. We've got a last bit of news, or a couple of other bits of news. We've got a couple of loanees going out. Bojan Radulovic, good player. I've seen him a couple of times. He's joined Espanyol B on a season-long loan. Yeah. And Tao's gone back to Rotherham. Obviously, he helped them get promoted last year, so that's good. And lastly, Bong, pleased for him, back in the Cameroon squad.
Yeah, great.
So
superb.
Happy days. That's
but Bong again is another. And pardon the pun, I'm not being controversial. There's a touch of Marmite about Bong. You either love him or hate him. You could walk in the Albion this afternoon and everybody's got an opinion on him. I think he does a job, and I think he's in there for the right reasons.
I think he's a solid player, and
I mean, coming on to Locadia, again, a touch of Marmite about him. Everybody's got an opinion on him.
Well,
all I will say about Locadia is, if we've been sold a pup, yes, it's an expensive pup, but it's only in the same ilk as Mark Farrington for older listeners, Jason Peake, Junior McDougall to a degree, players going back before then. We've been sold a pup, and we paid several £1 million for this pup, but that's only because the level of football we're at. We sold the Goldstone, 20 odd years ago for £7.2 million or whatever we sold it for. We now get almost 20 times that in TV money. So we've moved on. So it's only relative. So I'm not sure. Here's a pup. I haven't seen enough of him.
Do you think he's been given? Because I was reading a lot of threads, and he was getting some vile abuse from fans who.
Welcome to the wonderful world of social media, Mr. Locadia.
Do you not think that that we're at this stage where we don't give players a chance now? Because he's come in.
But people don't get a chance now. This is again, and I'm not saying this is part of the disenfranchisation of football fans, but managers don't get a chance. All right, Barry Lloyd was, when I did the Goals Eye, Barry Lloyd, Pete and I did Goals Eye, and Barry Lloyd to a degree was our nemesis. He's actually become a friend of mine now, and and we have a beer when I see him and have a good old chat about football. And but Barry Lloyd became manager in 1987. We got relegated twice, and he left in December 1993. All right, we got to a playoff final where we were one game away from the old First Division, which would have been, latterly the Premiership, and we got promoted in 88. But can you think of a manager now that would get nearly 5 years and be relegated twice and keep his job?
I can't imagine anyone staying the job getting relegated twice. Once, maybe. Yeah.
It's all changed. I don't think we've got that thing, because we're not playing 46 games. We're going back to, we are in the greatest knockout competition in the world. We've got 38 games, and we have to finish above that bottom three.
But I can't imagine because our recruitment team is very thorough and deservedly gets a lot of praise, because it does.
Well, it's better than when Burke was doing it.
But it finds players.
Quite an apt name for that fella.
It finds players under the radar that. Look at our recruitment over the last 2 years. We've sort of players that. The modern football fan will go, who? What? And they've proven to be solid buys that fit into our squad, fit into our team. Not all of them are for now, some of them are for the future. And the thing with Locadia is I'm surprised, because we did sign him and he still had a knock, and we the amount of players we turned away for being injured. So they must see something in him but his style of play is very.
Or were they being lent on by his agent, who said, "Oh, we've got other people interested"?
I can't imagine.
Very difficult.
I can't imagine.
I was told that Andoni was the better prospect, so we've got him now. So does that push Locadia down the pecking order? Clearly, when Andoni becomes fit, yeah,
maybe. I just think
fans are all right, and I come from a fanzine background, and we had our people that we had to go out in the fanzine, and most of whom I talk to now, Mr. Codner, Mr. Trusson and co. But I do think fans have become less patient over the years, but that's because of the game we're in now. It is a quick fix thing, and people pay their money.
As people do pay their money, and it's a lot of money now to go watch football.
I remember having this argument with Kevin Bremner for older listeners. I'm sorry, this is for the older listeners. Played in up front with Gary Nelson in our 87-88 promotion season. And the following season, we lost the first 8 games of the season. Straight 8 defeats. Again, Barry Lloyd lost 8 games. We lost to Southend twice in the League Cup, and we lost the first 6 games of what is now the Championship. Now, I don't think a manager in this day and age would keep his job.
You'd be struggling.
I don't think you would do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Kevin Bremner and I, he was having a meal in the George pub in Goring, because that's where times have changed. Would an Albion player go in the Toby Carver? I doubt it somehow. But Kevin said, "Oh, all right, I understand you got your magazine and blah blah blah, and some of the lads like it, some of the lads don't like it, and he's, but we are trying, and but you are quite opinionated, you lot." And I said, "But we pay our money. If you were playing on Hill Barn on a Saturday afternoon, and it was free, and I could stand there with my dog, whilst I can have an opinion, I don't really have the right to voice that opinion vociferously. But, if you're paying your money, if you go and see you've probably been to gigs, and you've walked out of gigs and thought, that was rubbish.
Well,
shows, and
there's football games I've commented on. I wish I could have done, but
shows and things like that. So you do have an opinion, but because the ante's upped and we're playing for all this money and it's all the Premiership and we've got all this, and it's become fashionable again. When you used to look around at the Wivdean, with under 7,000 people in there, and this afternoon we'll have over 30,000, and it's brilliant. And I don't believe this Johnny-come-lately thing, because there's all been one day that we've gone and watched Albion for the first time. It doesn't make you any less a fan. I don't believe this fashionable thing. I think football is what it is, and people enjoy it, and it is the beautiful game, but it's changed. But one of the things that has changed is the social media thing, and
the instant
and as a fanzine editor, it's probably people say, "Oh, you've been a bit two-faced, Harty," but you say Lacardio's coming for some horrible abuse. That is unnecessary. If he's not up to it, he's not up to it, and I'm sure Chris Hughton will put his hands up. And he's no Mark McCammon, that's for certain. And maybe we need to give him a chance.
I think we do. I just think.
Well, no, not maybe. We do need to give him a chance.
He's a different style of player.
But you see, who did Southampton get in the League Cup draw?
Who did they?
I don't know. You see, that's why we're not interested. But all right, if we'd beaten Southampton, that would have been another 90 minutes for him, and games like that. Because this under-23 league is great for development, but it's not the football combination as was.
Well,
which
you
was
can
a great
result.
I know you can play over-edge players, but the football combination was the reserve league and reserve football at the Goldstone. You saw decent, first team players coming back from injury, and teams put out strong sides.
Well, I remember used to being almost as proud of the reserve league as I was the first league.
And so, but that's changed. But that's all changed because of money.
There you go.
Again, the M word.
Right. Well, we've talked about that. We need to move on, unfortunately, because time is and you need to get yourself
get back the cricketers for me lunch. Yeah. Before the love
very
bus
important.
Goes. No, sorry.
We've got obviously game 3:00. Fulham come to town. Now, I was thinking about one of my first games at the Goldstone was Fulham in FA Cup. I think it was first or maybe second round. I can't remember which.
Lost on penalties.
0-0 we drew away.
Yeah, 1996.
It was a Tuesday night at the Goldstone, and if I remember, it was on Sky Sports.
Yes, it was.
And was that the first time? I was trying to work out if that was the first time Albion had been on Sky Sports. I don't know. If anyone does know, let us know, because I was trying to look it up and I couldn't.
I think you might be right there.
But
yeah, but I remember it.
I remember being there,
but we lost to Sudbury the year before.
Yes.
On penalties, and again, I say about leaving Fratton Park at 65 minutes. The kids were small then, and Mrs H was working at Excess Insurance in Worthing on the twilight shift, and at the end of full time, even before extra time, we'd got rid of Bellotti. We'd had a little demonstration and he'd scarpered off like a scalded cat, and I sat there and I was really sad because I was wasting my time and the time of my babysitter, and I left the ground at 90 minutes.
Of the Fulham game?
No, of the
Sudbury.
Of the Sudbury game. No, I had to stay and watch the Fulham game. You just had to. But yeah, and I listened to the late great Tony Millard commentating on the penalty shootout, and it was sad. So then this afternoon, it's gone. You know, we're just gone light years, haven't we?
But that's the thing. That's one of my first memories of it. Is that game. And I
think Alan Cork and Mickey Adams were involved with Fulham. I've got a feeling. Yeah, I think Mickey Adams was there.
Okay.
Either as a player, I think Ian Branford.
I thought that was later on. I thought it was later on he was there, but maybe you're right.
No,
yeah.
no, I don't.
Okay.
I think he was there as a player and then got the manager's job or whatever. I'll double check.
Yeah, but the thing with that game is I remember that I seem to remember, obviously being quite young, it much better than it in reality really was, because I remember asking when I got home, what was that game? And it was the dullest, there wasn't much that happened in that game except for the penalty shootout. I don't know. Anyway, that's stretches back to 96. We've had a few tussles with him over the years. The overall record is quite interesting. We've played each other 48 times, 22 wins apiece, and only 4 draws. Yeah. Which is, so a draw doesn't seem to be the...
and it's always a good open game, which is, which is good.
And if, I always do the stats on this. We've won the last 5 in a row. Puts in obviously the double 2-1 home and away when we got promoted. Our last defeat was back in November 2014. Don't know if you remember that one. 2-1 home defeat to them. But we've only lost 2 of the last 10 in the league. Yeah. So that's sort of the stats going into it. I've seen Fulham twice this season.
Yeah, and they've been good.
I think they're very good. I think.
But we're good. We beat Manchester United. Yep. 3-2 flattered Manchester United.
It did. Absolutely, as we mentioned last week.
Let's forget the Watford thing. That was and Southampton was. So I'm really excited about the game this afternoon. I think it'll go really well.
So. The predictions of pundits, Jeff Stelling, Paul Merson, Matt Le Tissier, Mark Lawrenson, all 2-1 Albion. Phil Thompson 1-0 Albion. Charlie Nicholas 1-1 draw, and Greg James, the Ratio 1 breakfast toast, and Arsenal fans gone for 2-2. So I don't think it'll be 2.
What would Dave Lee Travis had gone for back in the day? But anyway, I'm going for 3-1.
3-1, confident.
3-1 Albion. I think it'll be a great game. It'll be an exciting game, and hopefully it'll be that good a game that we're not last on Match of the Day.
I think there's going to be goals because Fulham do look great. And Mitrovic is on form. Is on form, and I think he's going to be a handful for our defence.
It's fun. It's good.
I myself, just seeing how good they've been, I think it's going to be 1-1. That's is my But I've got a voice. But
I'll be giving out your number on Twitter. Look,
I put devil's advocate in.
You have to be.
If we drew or lost today, is that a bad start to the season?
No,
I know we've beaten Man United.
Because it's the mode of the performance. It is a marathon, not a sprint. Again, cliche city with Harty. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We are going to pick up points where we didn't expect points, as we did last year, and we're going to drop points where we thought that we should have had a gimme. That's how it is. So look,
but you put Fulham into our mini league, or
Fulham. So. A defeat would be disappointing.
Yes.
A draw wouldn't be the end of the world, but I think we'll win 3-1. Go put your money.
There you go.
Bet 365. There are other betting places available.
Have you got an account with them or something?
No, I haven't. No, I think there's too much gambling.
There is. It's too
crazy.
easy.
It's a disease.
There you go. I met someone who actually runs a bookie for the rich and famous. Yeah. And he, including people like Harry Redknapp, and he was saying that the betting industry has increased 20-fold in the last 10 years.
It's frightening.
It's crazy.
And the lady at 365, who's Peter Coates' daughter, is the highest paid employee or highest paid person in the country now. didn't she? She pays herself the biggest wage.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And she started off in a porter cabin.
There you go.
Facts
with Ian Hart.
Fun fact.
So you're looking forward to the game.
Yeah.
Team wise, you expecting a similar 11 to last week at Liverpool? Or do you think Gross comes back in?
Well, you don't know, and there's only one man knows, and he's currently sitting in the manager's office at the Amex, and that's how it should be.
But is that the good thing that now there is competition for places?
Competition for places. You'll look into the bench and you've got options. Impact substitutes in this league are very important. Everybody said the squad wasn't good enough last year. It clearly was. We've had some good additions this year. Look, it is positive. I've said, and I will come back on this show if invited.
Always.
We're not going to go down.
Yep.
And we will. I think Huddersfield and Cardiff will definitely go down. I think all's not well at Bournemouth. I think Newcastle, clearly there's issues there. Palace, there'll always be issues with the circus at Selhurst. Fulham are going to be there or thereabouts near us. I think there's trouble at Burnley, and I'm not convinced with Southampton. And those are teams that I think the Albion can finish above, and possibly even West Ham. So when you have me back in about April and we'll look at a league, you'll say, Harty, you were right.
Well, if you heard my prediction show at the start, of Newcastle, Huddersfield and Cardiff were my three to go down. Whether they are...
My three were Bournemouth, Newcastle, and Bournemouth, Huddersfield and Cardiff.
So there you go. So it's just the two.
Yeah.
Bournemouth, for their credit, always seem to score goals. So that...
They conceded.
But this isn't a Bournemouth show. This isn't
this is not a Bournemouth
show.
Although I do like Bournemouth as a result. It's very nice, but that's for a man of my age. Anyway.
And on that one, in your flippies and your shorts, we still don't have an answer whether you can wear them or not. So you're going to have to do some research.
I know I'm going to go.
You're going to go? You're going to risk it?
I'm going to go, and if I get turned away, I'll just sit in the car park and listen to it on the radio.
You need to get some little things you can clip on if you need to make them. Well, we've still got 10 minutes of the show left. I say thank you very much to
Cheers,
Ian
old
Hart,
son.
as we're going to move on with our under-23s and non-league roundup. I'll just turn your mic off, Ian, so you can get up. Very nice. All right. Yes, so the under-23s were in action last night with a stunning 5-0 victory over Manchester City, a Manchester City team that had previously scored 6 goals in each of their last 2 games. That puts the Albion up to 4th in the early stages of the under-23 league. But also on that, they're still unbeaten. Gyökeres, who also played well against Southampton, scored a penalty. Roberts added a second. Then Connolly got a brace, including a finish with an excellent team goal. You can see all of the goals on our Facebook page at TAM Radio Show on Facebook. We've put the highlights up on there for you to view. Tilly Randolph scoring to make it 5-0. A stunning result against a very good team, and it was cagey up until we scored, and then we absolutely blew them away. Our youth under-23 teams, I've seen them a couple of times, look very, very good this season, and it does bode well for the future. You know what's going to happen now? We've got time for a little bit of this. Oh yes, it's the non-league roundup. So in the Bostik League, Worthing are 3rd in the league now, following a 0-0 draw on Bank Holiday Monday to Burgess Hill Town. So Burgess Hill Town that had lost 6-1 away at Enfield Town on the previous Saturday. They're unbeaten, as are Bognor Regis Town, who are up to 4th in the league. So both of those clubs are unbeaten. Worthing, though, do have a game in hand on all the teams around them. They could go top if they win today. Whitehawk, well, they had mixed fortunes over their bank holiday weekends, now sitting in 11th, 2 places above Lewis, who are 13th in the league. And then it's another sorry season, I'm afraid to say, currently for Burgess Hill Town, who have just got 2 points from the opening 5 games and sit 20th in the relegation zone. Games to watch today if you are out and about and not on your way to the Amex. Burgess Hill Town taking on Whitehawk. Bognor Regis Town, and that's going to be a great derby, Burgess Hill Town versus Whitehawk, by the way. Bognor Regis Town versus Kingstonian. They always bring a lot of fans down with them. Saltdean United, who have started the season really well, against Crawley Down, Gatwick, and Peacehaven and Telscombe are at home to Howsham Town. That's in the Peter Bentley Cup. On Tuesday night, we've got Shoreham at home to Lingfield. But also, there's an FA Cup replay. Saltdean United drew 0-0 away at Whiteleaf. The replay at Hill Park is on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, get yourself down to the Dripping Pan. Lewis take on Molesey in the FA Cup. So some excellent games there for you. FA Cup, of course, Lancing through with their stunning 7-3 away win at Greenwich Borough. Greenwich Borough, a league above them. Lancing's brilliant for them. They've been drawn away at Phoenix Sports in the next round. Bognor Regis Town also away. They'll be at Whitstable Town. Whitehawk will travel to Pagham. Worthing will travel to Faversham Town. Horsham are away at Corinthian. And finally a home draw for one of our teams. Birders Town will be at home to Folkestone Invicta. And of course the FA Cup games will bring to you as and when we do get around. I think it's the week after next. There's a new way to watch non-league football this year with some of the best highlights of Sussex football available on YouTube from 8 p.m. every Monday night, the Sussex Football Show. So that is our non-league roundup. And that's that one over. So we've got to finish with our women's roundup, the roundup of BHAWFC. They were away to Tottenham Ladies in the Continental Cup last Sunday, and were 2-0 down. Real Madrid, a Megan win had given Spurs the lead, or a 2-goal lead going to half-time. Eileen Whelan pulled one back, and then Inni Omatung, she's scored, I think, 5 in the last 3 games she's faced Spurs to level things. Being a cup competition, it went to penalties, and it went all the way through for the goalkeeper Lucy Gillett to take the decisive spot kick, and unfortunately for the Albion, she missed, so Albion lost 10-9 on penalties, so 2 defeats from 2 to start the season in the Continental Cup. Now there's a week off to prepare for the first league game, which is next Sunday the 9th at Crawley Town. Of course, we're at home to Bristol City, the first game of the FAWSL 1. Very much looking forward to seeing some games up there. You can still get season tickets, £45 for an adult season ticket, which is tremendous value. Over 65s, under 21s, £35 season ticket. Under 18s, £30, and under 10s, £10 for a season ticket, which I think is pretty amazing. So we're running out of time here this week on the Albion Mag Radio Show. Thank you very much for listening. Of course, you can get in touch with us at TAM Radio Show, Facebook, Twitter, our thread on North Stand Chat. Tom will be on hand to answer any of your questions. Big thank you to everyone listening in. We'll be back same time, same place next week, but we're going to leave you with a tune from our friends and partners at Jalapeno Records. This is Wrong Time from the Wrong Tom Mix.
Said you got the future, and you think you've got it all.
Yeah, you may remember the start of that one. We used that sample for our non-league pads.
It wouldn't be the first time.
See you next week, everybody.